Hey folks, I'm Dan, and welcome to BioWare Follower. I'm just gonna get this out of the way. This is an opinion video, yada yada yada, opinions are my own and don't reflect those of BioWare Follower, blah blah blah. Here we go. Sometime in the mid-2000s, I discovered a cool little game called Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic. Not only was it my first PC game that didn't feature the word tycoon, it was also my first BioWare game, and it totally blew me away. I still remember that first time exploring Terrace, just taking everything in. A breathtaking backdrop, plenty of NPCs milling about, and all backed by a soundtrack from Jeremy Soule, now my personal favorite composer. Kotor was my first taste of how BioWare handles world building, and it's a damn good entry point. A side note, Jeremy Soule has nothing to do with BioWare in general. I just wanted to mention him at least once because holy crap, his soundtracks are just so damn good. Anyway, don't get me started on the characters. At the time, I was mostly into games for the gameplay. That's not to say I didn't care for story and characters, I just hadn't really played anything with that particular focus. Kotor changed all that. Instead of the one more level mentality I used to have, it now became just one more conversation. I even liked talking to Karth. Nobody likes talking to Karth. No game had ever gotten me feeling emotionally involved before. I didn't just care about where the story went, I cared about my party members. I cared about the state of the world after I finished. Hell, I cared about Mission's piece of crap brother. I legitimately cared. And I will always remember Kotor for being the first game to elicit that reaction from me. At the time, I didn't really pay attention to the developer. I mean, why would I? It was the only game I'd ever played by them, so it's not like they had a reputation in my mind. Same thing happened when the sequel came out. I didn't know who Obsidian was, I just wanted to get back in that universe I'd found so engrossing the first time around. Since I didn't pay much mind to the developers, I never thought to look up past games or others in the genre. So rather than spreading out to games like Baldur's Gate or Fallout, I just kept playing these same two games over and over for the next 5 or so years. And I probably would have kept that streak up if it weren't for Dragon Age Origins. The gameplay immediately felt familiar, as did the writing and character archetypes, to the point where I had to check to see who made it. Imagine my surprise when I found out the same folks behind what I considered to be gaming perfection at the time turned out to be behind this new beast of a game. Now BioWare was on my radar, and shortly after, I picked up Mass Effect and the newly released Mass Effect 2. With each new game I picked up, I found myself consistently engrossed with the setting, writing, and characters. I began to pre-order each new BioWare game from that point on. Yeah, I pre-order, fight me! Dragon Age 2, bring it! Mass Effect 3, my favorite game of all time, so I think I made a good call there. Dragon Age Inquisition, Cassandra ain't gonna romance herself, damn it! Andromeda, ditto Vetra. Also, I kind of want to buy a house on Havarl. Side note, that doesn't include the Old Republic or Sonic Chronicles. For the former, it's because I don't like online games, and with the latter, it's because I'm still bitter they didn't call it Sonicals. Anyway, that trend has continued through Mass Effect Andromeda, and will continue for the foreseeable future. That feeling I described when I first played Kotor? I get that same feeling with every single BioWare game I've played, and it's just as intense now as it's always been. Now, I won't ever claim that BioWare games are, by default, perfect 10 out of 10 experiences. For every Citadel DLC or Dragon Battle, there's always a From Ashes debacle or the odd Deep Roads expedition. In fact, their imperfections give way to yet another reason I respect them as developers. Mass Effect Andromeda was controversial, to say the least. It had a rushed development cycle, and plenty of people took issue with one thing or another. BioWare's response to the feedback is a perfect example of why they have that respect from me. At the time this video is being made, a new patch has just been released, adding new customization options, the option to change your appearance mid-game, and even changing up Jaal's romance so male writers can get in on that action. It's not uncommon for a developer to support a game well after release, but BioWare goes beyond the norm, constantly taking feedback and actively engaging with their audience in order to improve the experience any way they can. They have issues, yes, but not a single one has ever been a deal breaker for me. In fact, the only time BioWare has ever actually disappointed me is when they dolled up Sarah Ryder's default look. I love her original face and I wish it was still there as an option. Anyway, my point is, The positives always far outweigh the negatives for me. No matter how many repetitive dungeons I may have to go through, that feeling of discovery, of connection, and other descriptors I can't think of at the moment, it's always there. That's why BioWare has earned my loyalty. Now, this is where we usually ask for feedback and comments on the topic. But frankly, I don't want to. Feel free to subscribe if you'd like, but if you want to comment, be totally random. Talk about something you want to talk about. Literally anything. I don't care. This is my video, I make the rules, and the rule today is chaos. Have at it, you beautiful sapiens. Here's to you. Bye-bye.